Hey guys, long overdue video for Nava Grove, but let's not waste any more time over here. It has outperformed, I would say. I was previously expecting about 50% performance because if you look at the news over here for both of them, Nava and also Pine Tree Hill. Previously, Pine Tree Hill last year sold 29% at launch week and 2460 PSF. On the other hand, I wasn't expecting of course the same kind of performance because it's quite a different market right now. The market is turning more towards the optimistic side because of what is happening overseas, and also the interest rates are expected to be coming down. Nava achieved 65% compared to, I would say, previously I was expecting more of 50% because I find 50% over this 29% is already considered quite good, right? But 65% was definitely higher than what I expected. Average price of 2448 PSFR. This is a post-harmonization project and this is a pre-harmonization project, and this is definitely expected to be higher previously, but I think because of what was happening at the start of November, where there was suddenly a whole slew of new launches suddenly all going to be launched together, and hence probably why developer was feeling a little bit worried, and that's why they decided to launch at a lower profit margin. Later we'll look at the numbers regarding the profit margin to see whether is it actually a cheap buy in terms of profit margin on the side of buyers versus the developers. Lowest for two betas were even starting as low as 2 something PSF. Then the three betas started from 2 3 something, even the four betas 2 something. In fact, some of the three betas were even going for 2 something PSF. As of now, from 65%, it has already increased to almost about 70%. Pine Tree Hill moved a lot of units over the past few months. Today is already sitting at 77% sold out rate. On the other hand, last time they were thinking, hey, Pine Tree Hill can sell or not, cannot sell, worried about it. I was never worried about it because it's not an insanely overpriced product. It maybe some of the units were quite expensive at that point, but it was expected. I would say over maybe the next one year or something, it should more or less clear out already because of what is gonna happen over, especially the next few months, the next few launches. But we will talk about that later. A quick run through of the project. I shall not spend too much time as like what I mentioned previously in the UK because all these are already post launch. Land size huge. Number of units 500 plus. On the other hand, this is not a one-to-one parking lot kind of development, even though it's quite far away from MRT. Later we'll quick talk about the location. This is a comparison with Pine Tree Hill. As you can see over here, this one will have a very nice unblocked view of the Clementi Forest. Landscaping, I would say quite nice. In fact, the development from a finishing point of view, I would say this is one of the better developments recently that we've seen now. MCL and currently the other cinemas. The developers actually put in quite some effort on the materials. I'm pretty impressed on what I've seen at the show flat. But then again, for those of you who have been watching my video, you know that this is not exactly what I put too much emphasis on. That's why I'm not going to be spending too much time on this. Unit mix, the highest percentage naturally goes to two bedders over here, 40 something percent, 2 plus study. Then the 3-bed compact versus and the premium make up about 1/3 of them. The 4 bedders about 20.8%, as well as the 5 bedders a small amount at 4.2%. As you can see, the large percentage goes towards the 2 to 3 bedders because I think this one they are trying to target a market that is much more affordable, because given this area, let's just be very clear that in this Pine Grove area, or rather Mount Sinai area, these people over here are quite well to do. They are spending quite a lot of money. They probably do not want the landed kind of lifestyle, but they are quite well to do, and hence they are very willing to spend money over here on big condos over here. And even if people who may not really need the size, but they want the exclusivity and then the nice serene environment of this location, they will still go ahead and then buy something over here. And this is probably what Nava Grove is trying to target. And then maintenance fee, I would say in today's market, this is very reasonable at about 300 plus to 400. Even the big units are only asking for about 400 plus dollars before GST, which I think is quite reasonable, especially for this 5 bedder $500 plus per month, and if you're affording that kind of quantum, 500 plus for maintenance fee is definitely not a killer at all. And then the other one, which a lot of people would have expectedly already have that mind, that this location is not exactly very accessible, is that there is a shuttle bus for at least 18 months on the provided by the developer. Whether they want to continue on that really depends on the MCST at that point, but it will be ferrying the residents to both Holland Village and also Buona Vista, which kind of not completely solve the problem, but you also need to factor in that right in front of the development, the bus stops are quite well connected, and essentially you don't really need a MRT right at your doorstep to label it as something that is convenient. For those of you who've seen my videos all along, you know that I'm not a very big fan of something that's too near to MRT because of the usual kind of premium. It's not that I don't like the MRT, okay, I also don't frequently take the MRT, so it doesn't really matter that much to me. Of course it matters to quite a lot of people, that's why I don't deny it. But you also need to know that what are the kind of demographics that you're trying to attract, because in this Mount Sinai area there has been residents staying here for the longest time, and this area is naturally what a lot of people would deem as ulu, but the houses here are not cheap at all. So that's why, does it really matter to people around here that want to stay around here? Does it really matter to them that MRT is not that near? I think the answer is very obvious. This is the location itself. I don't think we need any much more introduction. Probably some people may be thinking, hey, is it 1 km to Henry Park? Nothing has been confirmed yet. It has been heavily speculated that the 2 blocks over here will be within a 1 km radius. This one, have no idea yet, but even then all 3 are not confirmed until one map updates next year in June, if I'm not wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Then hopefully we have 3 of them included, but Pine Tree Hill was definitely all within 1 km. That one is confirmed already. This one is a question mark, and I don't think the developers want to commit because of what happened at Tembusu Grand lah. We also the one that happened. I think that is definitely not nice to be misrepresenting on the part of developers. So as what we mentioned just now, this is what I pulled out from one map. It is not exactly a perfect circle for those people who are wondering. It is not a perfect circle at all because it really depends on the boundaries of the schools, and that's why it is a little bit difficult. But from what we see over here is that these 2 blocks should be within. This one is a question mark, but let's not speculate too much. In fact, I think part of the reason why they launched at this price, which I feel is very, very reasonable, is probably because of the uncertainty of the 1 km radius to Henry Park. Then this is the perspective of the development itself. Nice building with landscaping, all this, and very nice view, of course, of the Clementi Forest. But that's not our focus over here. That one I will leave it to the job of the tagger at the show flats. So anyway, this project is subjected to the post-harmonization rulings, which factor in the GFA adjustments according to the middle of the wall, and then the void areas, the strata void area, basically the high ceiling, all these you don't see them anymore over here, as well as the aircon ledges, all these for those of you who are not very clear up on this. This estimated reduction in saleable area for developer, that means they will have to raise it up in terms of PSF usually to make up for that lack of ability to sell all these previously exploited methods. They will have to pump it up by this amount thereabouts in order to get the same kind of profit margin. If you look at the land cost of Nava Grove, previously this MCL, they bid the land quite a bit more premium above, but it is not absurdly above the market price because if you compare the last year's bidding compared to the rest they were being bidded around all around Singapore, it is quite within reasonable pricing. Perhaps the other 2 are just trying their luck because 900 bucks is really the cheap. I think it is pretty much expected that they don't manage to get a price at this, even though they were previously selling the other plot over here. They should know better lah. And then this was the preview prices in order to attract people. As you can see over here, the prices here were indeed very attractive. Then this is the break-even estimation, and I need to explain again, all these are always estimation, and this is an estimation by Ashprop. I don't think it's fully accurate because because previously, like what I mentioned in the EOK video, Grand Diamond was bought at this price, and then the estimated calculation for break-even was already here. And this was a pre-harmonization project. So if I use that same margin over here, this one shows a smaller margin somehow, but never mind, let's just assume this number. And then if we add back to the saleable area of 7 to 8%, maybe I just use 7%, I get a break-even price of at least this, around this, which means that some of the units were actually being sold at even below break-even prices. That means the developers don't make money on those units, which is probably one of their strategies to attract buyers to come over, because there was very fierce competition on the part of Trump Park and especially EOK, as well as two other launches and one EC. They're just trying to buy buyers over. And let's just be clear, EC buyers and private buyers are not totally exclusive, because some of the EC buyers actually may actually be able to afford private property. In fact, from what we see at the system over here, in fact, EC buyers are actually for the rich. If you hear a friend buying EC, actually they are the real rich ones. I shall not be spending time on this, but I think I mentioned before in my other videos that why EC buyers I feel today are actually the real rich ones. So let's just move on over here. On the other hand, if we compare to Ori, which is at Toa Payoh, if we use the same calculation method and then we factor in, their break even may even be 2.4 something, and that's why people who are expecting Toa Payoh to be selling at 2.3 something, I feel this is going to be a little bit difficult, because unless the developer is very desperate, like in this case of Nava Grove, because they probably feel that they are being overshadowed by the other two bigger developments that was going to be launched at the same time. But from what we know, Ori is not going to be facing this kind of competition unless Park Town and Elta, all these are suddenly coming in out of nowhere to crash the party, which I don't think they will want to, because unless they are trying to fight to launch before Chinese New Year, which I don't think the other two are trying to do that. If not, then they should have the spillover interest from all these three launches to queue up for one over here, and which means that they may have the leverage to push the price. And that's why moving forward, I will expect the prices for the brand new launches next year to be even higher. And these are the competition in the area. As you can see, there are quite some developments over here already, but not to worry, because a lot of them are very old. The youngest one over here is actually Trizon. By the time this is going to be done, it's already going to be 16 years. Some people may still don't mind it, but some people may want brand new and to stay in the area, and that's why it does have its own fair share of audience. It doesn't mean that the buyer will definitely not look at the older ones, but it definitely will give them some consideration factors. Not, of course, mentioning that there are the freehold and then also 99 comparison. Then the other one will be, if you pull up these 5 developments over here, Fontana, Trizon, Marbella, Pine Tree, and also Nava itself. As you can see over here, unlike the case of previously we were talking about Norwood Grand, where the resale prices were a lot further behind, and maybe even Tampines from what we are expecting over at Parktown over there. If we look back at these resales, even though they are freehold, but some of them are very old, this is going to be the nearest competitor, which is 16 years apart already. This one and this one are very old, but they are commanding very high prices. In case you're wondering why Trizon is like this is just a ground floor oversized unit, and probably the why they were selling cheaper lah. And this is kind of expected. I shall not spend too much time on that. Because I'm trying to not keep this video too long, right? Because we are already running into the 15-minute plus range already. And over here, you can see that Pine Grove, being the post-harmonization project, is actually selling cheaper than the pre-harmonization project, which kind of presents a good deal for people who manage to get in at this price or even below. I'm not saying whatever is left is a very bad deal, but you definitely have to be careful about what you're getting into. You really need to know what you're getting into. From what I know, at least the 4-bed dual key, I personally feel is a very weird idea. I don't feel it belongs in this Pine Grove area, because Why would somebody want to spend that much money and just go and rent out one room or all this? I mean, not all of them are planning to use it to rent it out, but it kind of doesn't serve the purpose or why people. It doesn't cater to the demographic, in my opinion, for this Ulu Pandan area, because yes, it may be Ulu Pandan, it may be Ulu, but it is not definitely not a cheap Ulu. Over here, I can see that the resale price gap versus the much older competitors is very small, and that's why these two may actually be not that bad of a deal. Alright, and then this is the average pricing that we are seeing so far, and if we use the previous break-even price that I calculated, this will mean that it's only about 8% profit margin, which that means the developer, according to those numbers, are not exactly making too much. And if we use the method, same thing on Norwood Grand, what we are seeing over here is that this is the break-even, because if I add in the post-harmonization method, we are looking at a 15% profit margin for this one. I think if we are looking over here, Woodlands versus this area, I still feel that this is definitely a no-brainer. Why would people want to get into a Norwood Grand area when they can get into something like this? That's why I still stand by my point of view. I'm not going to change my point of view on the Norwood Grand saga thing. But if you compare like this, I definitely think that Nava Grove has a much better value to offer. This is the master plan over here. What we are seeing around here is that there are a lot of residential colored plots of land, and this one is currently where they are playing all the sports, but it's actually zone residential. When is it going to be changed? We have no idea yet, no concrete ideas yet. Hopefully they don't change it that soon, because the Clementi Forest, unfortunately, will have to go in that sense. But this represents that this area has a lot of potential to be uncovered. And then if we look forward, that is pretty much what we have for Nava Grove. But in case you are wondering everything is expensive, then what I perfectly agree, things are getting expensive. But the only thing what we are seeing forward is that it's likely going to be getting worse because of whatever is happening around the world. Interest rates are also expected to be coming down quite significantly over the 4+% era. If we look forward at what is happening next year only, Ori, how much is it expected to be selling, especially given that Trump Park was selling at about 2.5 to 2.6 PSF pre-harmonization? What will the post-harmonization be able to command, especially that these three, this one, Nava Grove, and this one had divided attention. Now that when January comes, this is a good location where there's a lot of people anticipated to have interest in this. With undivided attention, how much premium will they be able to command for Ori? After that, there's also Parktown. With this one selling at about almost about 2,100 PSF, I don't think there is absolutely any way that Parktown will be selling at 2,001 PSF at all. It is, from my point of view, I think it's going to be 2,324 PSF, and will those people 2,324 at that PSF, then this have been a better choice for those people who managed to get in early, luckily, and this is already pushing the 3,000 PSF barrier. At this price point, will it have any spillover effects to all this? And in case you're wondering why is this Thompsonville already on block, in fact, residents are already receiving notice that they're going to be moving out soon, and that's why this, I don't think they're going to be launching next year. Probably launching 2026, but by the time it's being launched at this location, what price will it be commanding? Will it be more towards the 3,000 PSM mark? As such, will the current launches, those have already launched, present a much better value in that sense? Alta also, we need to factor in how much Park Clementi's has already been transacting. I don't think it is reasonable for the developers to be launching below existing resale prices unless they are really desperate, which I don't think so. It is also by MCL, so let's see this time with much lesser or even undivided attention, how much is it gonna be commanding. So that will be all we have for today. In case you are wondering how to navigate around this very confusing property market, feel free to reach out, PM, and then we see how we can navigate this together. Alright, that will be all we have for today. See you guys. Take care. Bye bye.